In this video, what we're going to be talking about is the art of surrender, how to actually accept the moment and see it for what it truly is, because a lot of us tend to misperceive the moment and blow it out of proportion because our minds are in resistance to the moment. We don't accept things as they are, we tend to resist it. And so when I'm talking about surrender, I'm not talking about giving up or falling back into old patterns. I'm talking about surrender that actually creates the most room for change to happen in your life. And so that may sound a little bit confusing. How can surrendering actually create the most change? But what I'm here to tell you is that when I'm using surrender in this context, it may be a little bit different of a context than how you perceive it, because surrender is about full acceptance and allowance of the moment. It's about accepting the moment how it truly is, regardless of the internal resistance. You may accept the internal resistance that goes on. Because here's the thing, is that a lot of us tend to keep our attention and our awareness and our focus unconsciously in the thinking mind without necessarily realizing that we're doing it. And so when you're living your life in this place, some people call this the ego, we tend to live our lives projecting into the future and projecting into the past. And this doesn't allow us to fully have the experience and the aliveness and the peace of the moment. We tend to reject the moment and resist the moment. And so we have this mental resistance that is resisting the moment. And so when I started meditating every single day 3 years ago, and I learned how to observe my thoughts rather than attach to them, what I learned is the art of surrender, which is a feminine energy. This is the opposite of masculine energy, where you're pushing yourself out into the world. You're penetrating the world, literally penetrating with that masculine energy, showing the world what you do. But you can combine this with the art of surrender and allowing things to be. It's an allowance. And here's the thing, is that when you fully allow, when you observe your thoughts and sort of allow them to be there, this creates the most room for change to actually let them go. Because what I learned in meditation is how to combine intention and focusing on my breathing, full focus, full change, commitment to changing myself. Also combining that with the art of allowing. A true meditation practice is really the combination of focus and surrender, which are almost polar opposite energies. But when you combine these two things together, you really get gold in your life. You really get absolute gold, because surrender is needed. Even if you're a very masculine person, you have to incorporate that art of surrender. And so when you surrender, this actually creates the most room for change. Because if you're in resistance to the moment, we tend to relive those patterns. We tend to relive the same loop of the moment. And this is what the ego does. When I talk about the ego, I'm talking about unconsciously being in the thinking mind without realizing it. And this creates a lot of resistance. This tends to create the same kind of patterns over and over. But when you actually accept the resistance, become aware of the resistance in the same way that you would observe your thoughts in the meditation, check out my video on how to meditate. When you observe those thoughts, rather than being absorbed into them and then allow them to be there, this is actually what allows you to let them go in a much easier way. And you can't let go of something that you're not conscious of. And so the key here is to fully come into acceptance of what's happening. It's just an art of surrender. It's an art of flow. It's the art of just allowing. It's a feminine energy that every person needs a little bit of, whether you're feminine or you're a masculine person, whether you're a guy or a girl, you have to incorporate that feminine energy, the art of surrender and allowing everything to be. And then you can combine that with the masculine energy of pushing your art into the world, and you will find that you live your life in a much more practical way, because the art of surrender allows you to just allow the moment for what it really is. Allow things, even if you feel negative, even if you don't necessarily feel the best, even if you don't fully want to be feeling the way that you feel, you simply allow that to be. And then when you allow that to be, that creates the change to let it go in a much easier way, because what you resist actually persists. And so when you learn how to accept it, you can create the most room for change in your life. If you were to fully come into acceptance of your negative circumstance, That doesn't mean you have to give up and then go back into it. It means that you just feel something negative, but you allow it to be there, and then you go into the reality that you prefer. Because when I'm meditating, what I found is that surrendering and allowing my emotions to be there doesn't mean falling back into the unconscious energy. Some people confuse surrender with falling back into negative patterns, allowing their egos to go back into the patterns, the unconscious thought processes, to control them. That's not what surrender means. Surrender is about noticing something that you don't prefer, becoming fully conscious of it, allowing it to be there, and then truly letting it go. But the only way to truly let it go is to have that surrendered mentality where you allow yourself to let it go. That doesn't mean allow yourself to be pulled back into the negative energy, the unconscious thought processes. This means to notice it and then let it go. Don't attach to it. This is a non-attachment exercise. This is an allowance, not attaching to the forms that come up, which allows you to actually let it go in a much easier way. This is the art of meditation. It's the art of focus and surrender. You combine these two things together in your life and you balance them in the right way, whatever works for you, notice the results in your life completely skyrocket. So that's all I have for you today. If you like this kind of content, then consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell, because I post a video every single day. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the present moment and finally stop being so absorbed by the content of your mind and finally live your life purpose, step into your true power with your life purpose and what you're supposed to be doing, let go of these unconscious thought patterns that don't serve, then consider applying for a free consultation that is in the website, that is in the description box of this video. Let's connect and let's make this happen for you. Have yourself a great day and see you in the next video.